everybody, and welcome back to the next part in my dialing in series for our Line 6 Helix. Today I am taking a look at an amp that I really haven't played through very often in the Helix, but decided to do so since it was one of the amps I haven't actually looked at yet in this series, and that is the Mail Order Twin, which is a model of a Silvertone 1484 amp, I believe, which is an old Sears and Roebuck Sears amp that from way back in the day. And what an impressive little amp this is. When I started doing the dialing in video, I didn't really have any idea what song I wanted to use as a performance video for it. But I did, as soon as I started playing with it, decide on Sweet Home Alabama, the Lynyrd Skynyrd classic. So I have a performance video up right now, which is me basically recreating to the best of my ability the guitar parts, including the solos and whatnot of the classic Sweet Home Alabama. There's two guitars, a left and a right, one with using each of the snapshots from this preset that I've made. There's a clean and a drive or dirt lead, whatever you want to call it. And they're kind of panned left and right. It's all shown in the video anyways, what you're hearing. And then I use obviously the, the lead or the dirt channel, or snapshot I should say, to do the leads with it. But what you're hearing in there is just this preset with no processing after the fact. So let's go over to HX Edit. Go take a look at the performance video to sort of see what you think of it. I was really happy with the sound of this, and I don't know why. It's just Sweet Home kind of bounced into my head as I was making this. And again, no way am I trying to say that I copied or was even trying to recreate the tones of Sweet Home Alabama. It's just that's what reminded me, or that's what popped into my head as I was making this tone. So what do we have here? Very simple preset. I have my little compressor at the end, which is always there, part of my, my template. Peak reduction of 5.5, gain of 5, mix of 100%. Nothing fancy going on the EQ other than low cut at 100 Hertz and a high cut at 10 kilohertz. A little bit of verb, maybe a little bit bigger verb than I would normally put on. It's a room reverb, decay of 7.5, and a mix of 30%. My standard little settings on the low and high shelf EQ, all the frequencies below 650 Hertz, I dropped by 2 dB, and all the frequencies above 2 kilohertz, I raised by 2 dB. So, one other thing I did on this though is I used a bit of a deluxe compressor at the beginning with a threshold of minus 37.1 dB, ratio of 2:1, attack of 5 milliseconds, release of 50 milliseconds, and a slight sort of parallel compression going on where I let some of the unaffected drive signal through. So the mix is set at 75%, sorry. And the level was at plus 2.5 dB. To my ear, that's about how much gain reduction we were getting. And so I had to bring that to about 2.5 dB to keep sort of the affected and unaffected signals very similar, okay? I just found that in the mix when I was doing the performance video, I found that this compressor just kind of helped everything sit a little bit nicer in the mix, and I kind of like what it did. So let's take a look at the amp. So I pulled the amp up. I stuck with the stock cab that comes up by default. I put a 121 ribbon mic 2.5 inches back, okay? And the settings on the amp for the clean snapshot, the drive was at 4, bass was at 7.5, mid was at 4.4, treble at 7.8, presence at 0, channel volume and master both at 10, and I didn't touch the deeper functions. All that happens, if you notice, there's nothing else snapshot enabled through this whole preset except for the drive, okay? So I have a clean and I have a lead, I called it, and where I take the drive from 4 all the way up to 10, and that's what I use for, I believe it was the right channel on the performance video, and for the leads. So that's the two different snapshots. So here is what this sounds like if I turn everything off. Compressor at the end, EQ, reverb, low and high shelf, and the first compressor. Now, I'm playing my Yamaha Pacifica 611. I have the bridge humbucker engaged right now with the split coil engaged, so it's kind of in single coil mode. Pardon me. That is the same thing that was actually happening also in the performance video for most of it. So this is what this amp sounds like without any processing at all. Okay, what happens when I bring the compressor in at the end and the high and the low cuts? If I take the split coil off and go to humbucker mode, breaks up a little bit more. Back to single coil mode. As to be expected, it doesn't break up as much and it kind of thins out a little bit. Well, I'm going to bring the reverb in. I'll bring the low and high shelf EQ in. And I'll bring the first compressor in. Just kind of controls those peaks, right? Especially on Okay, so that was the initial sound. Now, what happens when I go to the lead and the gain or the drive gets pushed up to 10? Yeah, so that's the sound there. Kind of squashed, but kind of a cool tone as well. That's it. Now, if I go to humbucker mode on that, really liking this tone. And go to the neck pickup. In this case, it's a Duncan P90. So I was really liking this preset. Sounds really nice in so many ways. So go take a listen to the performance video. This will be up on CustomTone by the time I post these videos, and you guys can grab it. It's kind of a really flexible preset. You know what, you could probably even add a drive pedal before it if you wanted to go sort of up another level of gain and makes it a little more versatile, add a delay or whatever in it, but I kept it simple. This should be able to be used. I don't see any reason why I wouldn't be able to be loaded onto the Stomp as well. I haven't tested it, but there is only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks, so it should work. So for you Stomp users that want to try it out, give it a try and let me know if it actually loads up all right. Can't see why it wouldn't. So check out the performance video. Let me know what you think of that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Grab the preset and I hope it works well for you, or at least is a good starting point to get you a preset that's going to be usable either in the studio or live. And so again, thanks for tuning in, guys. Please like the video, share it if you don't mind, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll be back soon with a lot more content, and we'll talk then. Thanks again for tuning in. Ciao for now.